What do you get when you let stylists and Ford Motor Company during the mid-1960s design the ultimate compact station wagon by taking the Falcon and adding wood paneling, a deluxe interior, and more to appeal to a buyer that needed a smaller wagon but still wanted class and style? Yep, the Squire fit that description to a T. When you see the results of a comprehensive restoration with tasteful modifications done in the interests of safety, drivability, and comfort, it's a car that can easily haul everybody's gear to the local car show or on a long road trip. Yes sir, this is the car you do it in. As owner Chris Sasso and his cousin Rick explain, resurrecting this old hauler was something both of them needed, and it cemented their bond as cousins, and friends even tighter. We'll let them tell you all about it. Now, let's go for a ride.
My name is Chris Sasso, and I own a 1965 Falcon Country Squire station wagon. The reason why I got this car is because my wife passed away in 2015, and after she passed, I was going nuts, just staying home and not really going out and doing anything. And a good friend of mine told me that you gotta get out, you gotta do something, you gotta find a hobby. So I decided to restore a car, and I didn't want to restore a car that everybody else was doing, Mustangs and Camaros and everything else you saw at a car show. So I started browsing through Craigslist, and I saw this car. I mean, it looked like it was been through a war, and it was up in Sedona, but the thing just talked to me, and I'd watch it and see if it got sold. And a month went by, maybe 6 weeks went by, and I said, finally, I'm gonna buy this thing. So me and my cousin, we drove up to Sedona. The thing was running. It was all original. Every part was there. It was a solid Arizona car. You look underneath the car, it still had the paint on the bottom of the car. But it had a lot of dents in it. But we made a deal, and I brought it home, and it was a good therapy for me to not concentrate on what was going on in my life and to concentrate on something else and have to wake up every day to look forward to something. Something new that you're going to do on the car, and then after that, when the car's done, different car shows you can go to and talk to people and just get out of that rut. The car has a mid-1980s 302. It's stroked out to a 347. It's by TriStar Engines. It has an AOD transmission by Scott Ackerman. Has a fuel injection system by Edelbrock. It's the Pro Flow 4 EFI system. Has a Edelbrock fuel sump system. It's got long tube headers that are wrapped. Me and my cousin made the exhaust. All just a box of tubes and 32-inch long cherry bombs. You could build a nice exhaust system really cheap for like $200. Just takes some time and some welding. The AC's by Vintage AC. You get an AC unit and a box of hoses, and you got to make all the hoses and stuff. That was interesting. It's got Mustang 2 front suspension with coilovers, rack and pinion steering, Willwood brakes front and rear, 15-inch American racing rims. It's got an 8-inch rear end with 373 gears. Bell Upholstery in Deer Valley in 17, they did the interior. Brought them the seats. They did the seats, and then they did the door panel cards. The paint job, you're not going to believe, was done by Mako. Mako will do a good paint job if you pay them to. It is expensive, not as expensive as a $20,000 or $25,000 paint job, but they will do a good job if you pay them to. They have a cheap paint job and a really good paint job. The paint colors are off a 2006 Ford GT. It's tungsten silver and satin silver. And the wood grain is actually a wrap done by AZ Color. Guy down there, Adam Wheat, really helped us out and was really patient with us and making multiple samples for us to look at. And then me and my cousin, we applied that wrap to the vehicle. One of the main problems with the car, and I guess it was a main problem from the car from the factory, is, especially in Arizona, is the car would overheat. So we spent multiple months trying to make this car stay in 115 degrees and not overheat. And in order to do that, we really had to put a bigger radiator in that vehicle. And that took out a lot of real estate. And we had to cut up that radiator support and take all the hood latches out of it. So then we decided to use these new push pins that are really slick. You just push the hood down and it snaps into place, and you push the buttons and it opens up. Like I said, the car was complete, but there was a couple of those moldings that surround the wood grain that were damaged. Like I said, the car had some accents, and parts of them weren't there. So we had to actually go to a boat place that deals with fiberglass, and they made moldings of the opposite car molding, and it took some time. It took a couple months, and it was also very expensive, but they actually made something that was no longer like on this earth anymore. And they were really nice with us too. And the buttons on those that hold those moldings that surround the wood grain, the original ones were dome, like old moon dome hubcaps, but really, really small. And they were an arm and a leg. They were something like $13 a piece if you bought them. And they were super hard to find. So my cousin, he did some research, and he found that these buttons that were for like mirrors in your bathroom, and it really matched the vehicle good because there's a lot of stainless on there, and these buttons were stainless, and it was really a good match and gave it kind of a modern feel to the vehicle. That car was good therapy for me, and it did bring me out of my shell to talk to people and do different things that I normally wouldn't do, especially the situation I was in. And it kind of led me to go onto the internet and go onto car clubs, and it also helped my cousin out too. He went through some hard times, and he was going through some hard times. He was over my house, and he wanted that distraction also.
My name's Rick Sasso, and I'm Chris Sasso's cousin, and we did this car together. It's a kind of a funny thing because Chris and I are exact opposites, and building this car was, it seems like we fought a lot along the way. The truth is this car really, I think, helped save Chris from a bout of depression. And it did the same thing for me because although Chris was dealing with his own situation, once COVID hit, we were right in the middle of doing this car, and I started to slip into my own depressions, and this car became really something to focus on, something that we could do together. And I'll tell you, we put so much time into this car that I probably wouldn't have had COVID not really been going on. We're such opposite people, Chris and I, and when he first showed me this car, I really didn't want anything to do with it. I didn't want anything to do with the station wagon. That was kind of, more my mentality. I wanted to do, something more traditional, like, what the same car everybody wants, those Corvettes, those Mustangs, those Camaros, those Trans Ams. And, but Chris, he likes things that are different. He wants, stuff that's not the traditional car. My favorite part of that car is probably that it's a completely functional car. So many people have vehicles that look really nice and they can maybe limp it to a car show, but I really like the fact that you can jump in this car and, take it to California if you wanted to and not worry about it breaking down. It's got air conditioning in it, power brake. It's just a true retro mod. Where having something that we both enjoyed doing that needed to be done. So it was like every week there was a project that needed to be done, and these are, when you're dealing with, you know, some kind of emotional thing in your life, it's sometimes hard to find purpose to do something. And this, you know, it wasn't just something that needed to be done, it was something that we wanted to do. And to have somebody that, you know, you're so close to be able to put time into something that you both enjoy, you know, is really, sometimes can be difficult to find.
Thanks, Chris and Rick, for lovingly and carefully rebuilding and preserving such an unusual car. Everybody over 40 remembers station wagons fondly, and many of us rode in the back seats of both plain and wood-paneled wagons. Station wagons are very cool and always attract attention at car shows. Let us know in the comments what you like most about this mid-60s Ford long roof. Leave a comment and like this video, and be sure to share it with your friends. Right now, this channel is on a push to reach 1,000 subscribers. It's easy and it's free. You'll never miss one of our weekly videos again. We really enjoy making these videos and are grateful to all of our feature car owners, subscribers, and friends of the channel. We couldn't have gotten this far without you guys. Let's get to 1,000. Join us next Sunday when we feature a stunningly beautiful 1986 Ford Mustang that Steve Saleen modified to be the ultimate fox body at the time. You'll love it. Until then, remember, be careful out there.